Welcome back. The Park City Library Speaker Series is our focus this morning. Next up, a relationship and intimacy expert who is going to be talking about the topic of a case to put out. This is Sam Cullinane. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Welcome, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Before we get specifically to your topic and your address, tell us a little bit about your background to say a relationship consultant. We're more aware in the year 2018 than ever that there are ways in which we can work consciously to make our relationships more successful in ways that we didn't used to. Talk about your attraction to this work and to staying with it over the years.
Yeah, so I've been married almost 23 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I do feel like that's a big accomplishment. But in our 10th year of marriage, we signed divorce papers and I moved to Spain. And we ended up getting back together. And my husband and I have given a lot of relationship advice over the years, unprofessionally, over all these years that we've been doing it, just with our friends. And then we decided that we should shortcut all those conversations and write a book. And so we wrote the book, Bigger Love, How to Have the Love of Your Life for the Rest of Your Life. And it tells all about our journey, the good, the bad, the ugly, and that started us down this path of doing relationship retreats and some more coaching with different couples. And we also have a podcast called Doggy Style, where we interview couples about their relationships, but we don't talk about the problems. We have a positive psychology kind of approach to it, where we talk about the good stuff.
Really cool.
Yeah.
It occurs to me that so much of advising, as just a big catch-all term, that one of the biggest ingredients is credibility. It doesn't matter what you're talking about, self-improvement, relationship improvement, etc. It must be deeply credible to be able to say to a group of people or an individual couple, we signed divorce papers 13 years ago, and I warmed my heart to hear you say that. It's like, yeah, they made it. They stayed together. Pair bonding is such a hard thing to do. Talk first about that time, if you would, and how there's a through line from I'm leaving the country to now you're married for 23 years and you stepped back from that precipice.
Well, I feel like we jumped the precipice, right? And we had to fall off the cliff all the way and see just how bad it was and fix ourselves before we could crawl out of the hole.
Wow.
So a lot of what we teach is self-care, self-love, and taking care of your own stuff so that you're bringing a whole person to a relationship and not coming into a relationship thinking you're going to fix me. Right. Because that doesn't usually work out very well.
Or get fixed.
Yeah, or get fixed.
I don't want to do the work. Let's have somebody tell me I'm great all the time, and I can avoid all of that stuff, as you say, not being whole.
Yes.
That's huge.
It is huge.
So at the risk on this family program of going there a little bit, obviously I'm sure that you have probably a little more leeway in your language and imagery over at the Jim Santee Auditorium than here on an FCC licensed station, but
yes.
Tell me about a case to put out.
I'm mostly going to be talking about a problem that a lot of relationships have, because this is about love, connection, intimacy in romantic relationships. But a lot of relationships, long-term monogamous relationships, have a problem, and that is mismatched libidos. Because our libidos they aren't stagnant. They're things that ebb and flow with our lives. Yeah, they change as we change with circumstances and stress and all kinds of things. Right. And it causes issues. It can cause serious problems in relationships. And so that's what I'm going to be addressing in my talk. I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say.
I'm not sure. That being said, it occurs to me that everything that you just commented is intuitive, which it should be. Refreshing to hear. Talk about some of those ingredients, and I'll use that term with respect to the fact that in the end, in order to have a good union, you have to be addressing, when we say self-care, we mean not just self-love and self-acceptance and feeling good about yourself mentally or spiritually, but also physically, because especially as we age in a committed, pair-bonded relationship, there is a long period of years that passes by, whereas you say things ebb and flow. Talk about that responsibility that you have to put out by improving yourself.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I think we do have an obligation in a relationship to try to make sure that the other person feels loved and accepted. And I think that has to go both ways. And I think that the physical part of a relationship for some people is extremely important.
Absolutely.
And it's almost impossible to bond with someone who has that as a very strong part of themselves if they don't get that. And I think it's impossible to be in a relationship have you ever read The 5 Love Languages? It's one of my favorite books.
I have not read it. I've heard the title, but I'm not familiar with the
fantastic.
inside.
It's by Dr. Chapman, and he talks about 5 love languages, and one of those is physical. It's
Sure.
the physical love. And I think if you have a physical love person and you're not engaging in the physical acts of love, I think it's almost impossible to make that work well.
Not sustainable over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
But the other thing is the physical intimacy is very, very good, not just for relationships, but also for your health.
Absolutely.
And so I talk a lot about the science of that and how that interacts with the importance of bonding and relationships and that physical piece.
Well, it's important and courageous that you address these topics. They are difficult for a lot of people, and it occurs to me that you are a caregiver in that regard to many people. Tell folks where they can find out more about the book, Bigger Love, about your practice with your husband, and of course, all the social media contacts to follow along with you.
Yeah, it's all at Bigger Love. So biggerlove.com, Bigger
Great.
Love on Facebook. That's where you can find us.
Excellent. Sam, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Thank you
Terry.
for being here. Best
Thank you
wishes
for having me.
a lovely time on Tuesday evening, and I hope that we will have a chance to talk more on these topics again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Sam Cullinane, biggerlove.com, of course, a part of the upcoming speaker series at the Park City Library, Jim Santee Auditorium on the 27th Tuesday of November. Coming up, 5 to 7:30 p.m. Included in your plans, and make sure to DVR the Mountain Views program live at 6 p.m. because we've got a great band coming on Tuesday night, but we want you to make sure to enjoy this live seminar here in Park City. Quick break. We continue on after this. Please stay tuned.